I'm gonna read you a short. Was it? Is it an excerpt? I think. Um, but I'm gonna read something to you real fast. I'm gonna read something to you real fast, and then afterwards, I'm going to expound upon why I'm reading this to you. So it says, a childhood friend of mine once found a raspberry in the camp and carried it in her pocket all day to present to me that night on a leaf. The man read, imagine a world in which your entire possession is one raspberry and you give it to your friend. So, with that being said, I'll start by saying, you know, God is love. So, I believe in God. And that's why I choose love. And speaking on love, love is a two-way street. Love isn't just a one-way street. Love is to be reciprocated. And as men and women, we have to learn how to love each other as we evolve as a human race. And then within the races, we have to learn how to love each other as well. With that being said, I say all that to say on the topic of men, that men aren't very different than women. We just don't explore our feelings and our emotions as much as women do. We are not intact with our emotional sides as much as women are. And then society also dictates, you know, the concepts of what manhood is and what manhood manifests itself to be. And so we kind of dictate that a man is not supposed to show his feelings, and a man is not supposed to show his sensitive side. So, with that being said, someone told me this one time, and it made a lot of sense. And this was from a thuggish individual. So, it really goes to show that beforehand and afterhand, I haven't heard him say anything to the effect of even opening up that much. But he did open up to me one time, and he said, man, men aren't very much different than women. We want the same things that women do. We just want them in different ways. We want to feel loved. We want to feel appreciated. We want to feel wanted. We want to feel sought after. We want to feel like that we are the end all be all. We want to feel like that there is no other man in the world except for us in that particular person's eyes, that we want to capture their affections. So that leads me into, the next segment of this particular video, which touches upon a capitalistic society. One time I said before, I probably said it on a different social media platform, was that competition is good for the soul. The reason why I said that is because competition leads to innovation if it is done in an controlled environment and in a regulated fashion. Sometimes I believe that our capitalistic society has twisted and molded those principles and concepts. Cream always rises to the top. In our capitalistic society here in the United States today, it is not built off of the. It is not built off of a fair market. It is not built off of fair and equal competition. It is not built off of equal access to resources in order to be able to compete economically. And so, therefore, one time I was speaking to a white gentleman. The only reason why I bring up ethnicity in my conversations, not to say that I particularly have any prejudice uh, or that I'm racist, but I do understand that as a human race, we all carry, because of our experiences, we all will carry some type of prejudice. We will all carry some type of stereotype when it comes to other people, other ethnic groups, other genders. And so, with all that being said, is that through the self evaluation of things, that I believe a person would quickly come to the conclusion that that if it is not based off of fair and equal competition, then how is it that in this capitalistic society that equality, peace, love, and harmony can ever be reached? So, in speaking to this white gentleman, this Caucasian gentleman, we were speaking about socioeconomic issues as far as what our country faces. And that kind of ties in as well to what I speak on as far as when I bring up, ethnic, the ethnic components of this particular conversation. And so when it boils down to it, that we cannot escape from that. We cannot escape from the fact that history teaches us that our capitalistic society was built off of racism. That equates to socioeconomics. It relates to social aspects that are taken into an economic context. That is what our country was based off of. So when I bring these things up and then someone comes to me and they say, oh, well, why you got to bring race up? Why do you got to bring slavery up? Because our country was built upon it, and it has sustained itself based upon those things. So with all that being said is that I was speaking to the gentleman, and the gentleman looked at me and he said, well, I have mixed grandchildren, and I'm the one that takes care of them. I'm the one that provides for them. I'm the one. It's me. Be quiet. I'm the one. And so I looked at him and I'm like, that's exactly why. That's exactly why you perpetuate the policies, and that's why you support the policies that are in only your interest, so that you can say that particular thing, so that you can feel like that man. Remember, in the beginning of this statement, I said that a thuggish individual told me that there is not much of a difference between a man and a woman and what they want in life. And so when he said that to me, that correlates to what that thuggish individual stated to me in a prior conversation, is that that's the reason why he supports those policies and procedures that only reflect his interests. The reason why is because he is able to feel wanted. He is able to feel secure. He is able to feel a particular type of way about himself, and then also for the rest of the world to be able to look at him in a particular type of way, and for the world to be made and fashioned in his image, because he is the provider. Point blank, period. And so with that being said, that's where the socioeconomic conversation comes into play. The reason why is because in order to be able to sustain that feeling, to sustain that intrinsic feeling of that I'm the man, that you must look to me and only me, that I'm the only one that can save you, that I am the protector, that I am the provider. The reason why that those individuals support only those policies and will do anything within their power to reject anything else is because that is going to be a hard pill for them to swallow. Because when you actually do open the market up to be fair, as in equal access to the opportunity to gain resources, to be able to compete in the fair market, is that now that puts that intrinsic feeling that that individual has in jeopardy. Because now it is fair. It is no longer unfair. It is no longer that you have an advantage. And throughout the timeline of American history, it is shown that there has been policies and procedures that has been enacted time and time and time again, only to reflect a particular ethnic group's interest. And if I am lying, then why is it that Congress is made up predominantly of white American males over the age of 70? That means that their ethnic group and their interests are solidified, protected, and that they will always be able to perpetuate the interests that are particular to their ethnic group. It is a means of control. So, I bring all of that full circle for the lower ring of society, as to say that there are men that are in different ethnic groups. There are men that feel and want the same thing and would aspire to the same thing, given the equal access and opportunity to the resources in order to be able to effectively compete in the fair market. So, ladies, I bring all that to you to say, once again, that men are not that much different than you. And so with that being said is because it is not a fair and equal market, and because every ethnic group does not have equal access to opportunities and resources in order to be able to effectively compete in the market, then when you have a male or an individual who comes from the lower class of society and wants to be able to feel the particular same type of ways and to be able to intrinsically feel like a man, that there are times where you have to understand what is going on with this man. You have to understand how the socioeconomics of our particular capitalistic society plays out in this man's life. You tell me of the things that you have heard from your fathers. I tell you of the things that I've seen in the presence of the Father. There is a big difference. And so I will leave you with this statement again, because sometimes that's all that a man has. Sometimes all he has is love to be able to spoil you with. Sometimes all he has is a kind word to be able to spoil you with. Sometimes all he has is his presence to be able to say that I love you. Sometimes all he has is the ability to go out there and work a menial job that produces menial pay that is required a monumental amount of labor, intensive labor, with that yields results that are very minimal as far as economically. That I take you back to this initial reading that I stated, just to bring it full circle, so that you will understand that sometimes a man can give you all that he has, and it might not be much, but he's giving you all that he has, all that he is. And sometimes that you spit on it and you step on it. And you don't look at him in the same way that an individual with much will give you little of his much, that it doesn't affect him. But he is looked at as if he is almost God, as if there is nothing that is over him. And you will compare every other man to this man. But for the quality of their character, would they be willing to do the same things that some of these other men from lower social classes are willing to do? To go out and break their backs in order to be able to come home and bring home pennies, and not to be able to be accepted as a man in the same way, or to be able to be looked at or endeared, or as a sense of endearment when you look at them. And so once again, if a man only had this to give you, women, would you appreciate him, or would you hold over him everything that you do in excess of what he is able to do for you? A childhood friend of mine once found a raspberry in the camp and carried it in her pocket all day to present to me that night on a leaf. The man read, "Imagine a world in which your entire possession is one raspberry and you give it to your friend." That should mean something. God bless you all.